All right. So you might be thinking, that's really cool, David. But I mean, what the heck? That was still a lot of steps to go through to make this little summary table. Isn't there something easier? Well, there is. The way you do that is by creating a pivot table. So to create a pivot table, you go to the Insert menu, and you can see here's a pivot table. Um, it automatically selected this data table. If it's not exactly the right data table, then of course here you can use the pop-up that follows in order to select your table. But since this is the right table, you want to select a new worksheet for it to go to. And when I click OK, it created a new worksheet based on the data table. And at first, the pivot table can be really confusing. What you have is the fields that correspond to the table column headers, the header row, and it's a little bit confusing, but what you want to do is basically create a row label. In this case, we're trying to summarize by the account types. So I've done that. As you can see, automatically it created the row labels here, the corporate, discount corp, so on and so forth. Let me make this a little bit bigger so you can see. And then what you want to do though is sum up the values, in this case the accounts, and the sum of accounts by that row label of account types essentially does what all those steps in SUMIF function did. So you could pick whichever method you find easier. You could simply insert a pivot table and sum up the appropriate values, or you use the SUMIF function. Now, the nice thing about the pivot table, though, is that it's more powerful. You can attach to this other things like, for instance, rather than the sum of the values, you could change the actual uh, field value settings and do things like counts or average or min or max. So let me do the count. What this means is that there are 4 corporate accounts, there are 3 SMB accounts, and 3 special accounts. So you are beginning to get the idea of the power of a pivot table, even with this very simple table.